More bad news on the Rafa Nadal front this morning. He's now pulled out of Rome, which means if he does indeed play Roland Garros, he will go in with 0 clay court tournaments under his belt in the year 2023, which is completely unprecedented. He has never done that in his long career. Will he even play Roland Garros? If he does he have any chance? I want to talk about those things as much as I can. Obviously, whenever I'm talking about injuries, there is a fair bit of I don't know what's going to happen, some speculation here. But I do want to start by saying there were some positives in Nadal's social media post announcing his withdrawal from Rome. Rough translation, and I quote, "Despite having noticed an improvement in recent days, there have been many months without having been able to train at a high level, and the readaptation process takes time, and I have no choice but to accept that and continue working." That reads a little bit differently than some of his previous statements where he's been like, hey, the doctors said it would be better in 6 to 8 weeks, and unfortunately, it's still not better. AKA, I'm still injured. This is kind of like, well, maybe I'm not still injured, but I haven't been able to train, so I'm not ready to play Rome because I need to train. Obviously, the latter is a lot better than the former. The other positive is, of course, he didn't pull out of Roland Garros. And if there was a real severe setback, I imagine that not only would he have pulled out of Rome, but he just would have ripped the Band-Aid off, so to speak, and just withdrawn from Roland Garros right away. Even if he wasn't going to be able to, see improvement and train in, maybe 2 weeks from now, second week of Rome, or the week before Roland Garros, even if he was in that position, I'm quite certain he would have today just pulled out of RG just like that. So the fact that he didn't do that, and some of the content in his statement leaves a little bit of window for slight optimism in Nadal's case. That said, this is a complicated situation right now. Let's get into that. First, will he play? Will he even play? I think that is a little bit more complicated a question than is his injury going to be healed? I feel like it goes deeper than that. There are other factors. One factor, is he interested in playing if he knows his level won't be good enough to win the title? A lot of champions in the past have made it very, very clear that they really don't feel like entering an event that they don't feel like they can win. And the thing about Nadal as a character, as we've gotten to know him as best we can from an outside perspective and what he's let in, it really seems like delusional confidence isn't his thing. And delusional confidence is very common on tour. Very common, not just on tour. Among professional athletes, delusional confidence is almost, a common trait. Nadal breaks the mold a little bit. That's not how he operates. He draws his work ethic from doubts, really, self-doubts. I think that Djokovic has delusional confidence. I think Federer has delusional confidence. I don't think Nadal has that. I think he just is different. And I think he's more likely to come into Roland Garros if he's not at his best and to, kind of understand, well, maybe I can't win this thing. Or maybe I feel like I really definitely won't win this thing. And if that's his thought process, which I think is a possibility, does he have any interest in playing? And I'm not sure, actually. It could be that he has no issue with playing, even if he knows that he can't win the title, as long as he can fight honorably. You know that he won't play if he feels like he's not worthy of a spot in the draw of 128. If he can't fight as hard as he possibly can for every single point, he's not going to play. We know that. That's a given. But maybe, even if his level isn't there, he still feels like, okay, I can try my best and that's enough. I'm not sure which side of the coin he'll be on because we haven't been in this position before. We know, we know with certain people, like, I don't know, Venus Williams. She's a great champion. Anytime she plays, anytime she's played in the last 3 years, she's known she can't win the title. She's still playing. So she doesn't mind it. Serena retired as soon as she figured out that she can't win titles anymore. As soon as she figured that out, she retired. So everybody's different. I actually don't know where Rafa is on that spectrum. There's even more to this, however. Is Nadal concerned at this time that this could be his last chance to grace the grounds of Roland Garros? Is he concerned that he'll never be back? And does he want to soak that in one last time if he has that in the back of his mind? Because, last year, in the form that he was in, well, actually, now that I think about it, I was about to say an incorrect statement. I was about to say that retirement probably wasn't on his mind. But at the end of the day, knowing what he was having to go through with his foot at the time, maybe retirement was on his mind. I don't know, but is he concerned that if he passes up this chance to play Roland Garros, then he might never be back? That's also possible. Another thing, last thing, does he have ambitions for grass? Is it a better play for him to get a jump, an early jump on the grass court season, and maybe play a grass event the week after Roland Garros, which he will never do if he ended up playing Roland Garros? Because you can't come back from an injury and play a bunch of events in a row. That's a horrible idea. It's a good way to re-injure yourself. He can have a legitimate grass court preparation where usually even in years where he's healthy, he doesn't get that because he plays deep into the second week of Roland Garros. So does he have ambitions for Wimbledon? I mean, if you remember last year, he was the favorite to make the final and challenge Novak Djokovic. It's still a bummer we didn't get to see that match against Nick Kyrgios, but I don't know. I made the preview video for that. So, and, I thought Rafa would win, but we'll never know. We'll never know. So, I don't think it's a totally insane idea that Nadal would be like, you know what? Roland Garros, no chance. Let's just throw in the towel there and actually focus on a tournament where, yes, throughout my career, I've been far less successful there. But this year, 2023, just giving the timing of everything, it's actually a better chance that I can compete at Wimbledon. So let's go for that. I don't think that's out of the question, but it also sounds a little bit crazy for Nadal. So those are the factors when it comes to will he play. Obviously, that's thrown all out the window if he's not healthy enough to go. If he's not healthy enough to go, the decision is easy and none of those factors come into play. But I actually do think that he will be healthy enough to go. If he says he's improving and he just says he needs to train more, then I think he'll be ready. But that doesn't mean he's going to play because of everything I just outlined. Can he win? Can he win Roland Garros? Well, look, he has never played, as I mentioned at the top, without a clay lead-in. In 2020, he played just one, Rome, and he lost to Schwartzman in the quarterfinal. Didn't play well in that match. And the only factor there is that nobody really had a good Roland Garros lead. And that was when RG was held in October and Rome was the only Masters 1000 leading into it. So everyone was kind of on equal footing in terms of preparation. But nonetheless, there were some doubts about Nadal coming in to that Roland Garros because of what we saw in Rome and the different weather conditions in Paris in October. 2022, last year, he played just two. He played Madrid, he played Rome. He didn't win either. He had the foot thing. And last year as well, there was thought that Rafa was coming into Roland Garros the most vulnerable he's ever been. 2020 and 2022. That is it for years where Nadal has played two or less clay court tournaments coming into Roland Garros. Every single other year he's played RG, he has played 3 or more. Shout out to Joel Drucker, who has an article up on tennis.com. Joel did the research and wrote a great piece, which I think you should read on this topic. All right? So, look, there is something to be said for the fact that both those years, 2020, 2022, we said, Nadal might be in a little bit of trouble. And 2 weeks later, he's lifting the trophy. But this feels like it's on another level from even those. Given the choppiness we've seen over the course of the last 10 months, where even when Nadal has played, he struggled with his level, and there's been a multitude of physical issues, not just one, it would be a miracle if he could play his usual level. It will be the most difficult and steepest hill Nadal has ever climbed at Roland Garros by far, bar none. You know, you think about 2017 Federer, but even that was different, right? Roger, 2017 Australian Open, yes, was coming off of a layoff that was even longer in duration compared to Nadal. Federer hadn't played in 6 months. He didn't play from Wimbledon up until the Australian Open. But this is even different than that because Federer may have been 100% at any point in, let's say, December or, you know, basically during the off season. We don't know when Federer was actually at full capacity because he didn't play any Australian Open lead-ins, but that's not necessarily because he pulled out of them. He just didn't think that it was the best thing for him. So, you know, which is typical. A lot of players play the Australian Open without any lead-ins. So basically what I'm saying is that Federer could have been 100% for, I don't know, 2, 3, even 4 weeks leading up to the Australian Open where he was training at 100%. We know that that's not even the case for Nadal. We know he hasn't been able to train freely. And hopefully that's changing now. So he's got, I don't know, 3 weeks to do so. But then you look at even his track record of match play and you have a real issue there. It's red alert. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to being able to win Roland Garros, it's red alert. My hope is that this isn't going back to Federer. This isn't a Federer-like situation for Nadal because there are some vibes going on that I hate. And it's not really vibes. It's really kind of timelines that are spooking me a little bit because with Federer's knee, he was supposed to come back at the very start of 2021, and it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And then he kind of came back, and then it was, I got to shut it down again. And then boom, that's how that went down. This Nadal hip abductor thing has been the same thing where it's like, hey, I'll be back for clay. Doctors say 6 to 8 weeks. And then it's like, okay, not healing, still not healing, still not healing. Look, I'm just saying, I don't know anything. But right now, my fear is that this is, you know, a very, very frustrating injury. And I hope it's not that. I hope that this goes away without becoming something that lingers into the remainder of this year when he does come back, and of course next year. And obviously we deeply want to see a less painful end to Nadal's career than what we saw with Federer. So that's all I have to say right now. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.